What are we looking at here, guys? So this is a 144Hz display, slightly curved in 1440p or 2K. This monitor is $379 but is it any good? In this video, we're gonna take a look at this. Let's dive into it. Also, here's a question I've been thinking about for a while, guys. Do you play better on a bigger display? On the left side, I got a 24-inch monitor, and on the right side, we got the AOC monitor we're testing out today. Again, this one is 32 inches, so 24 versus 32. Do you play better on a bigger display? I have no idea, but we are about to find out. Hey, what's up, guys? It's Robin here. Hope you're doing fine. Thank you for clicking on this video. Today, we're taking a look at what I believe could be the best QHD 144 1 millisecond monitor for the price. It's called AOC CQ32G1. It's slightly curved, more specifically in 1800R. Again, we got QHD or 2560 by 1440. The panel is VA or vertical alignment, which we're obviously going to talk a lot more about later in the video. We also got FreeSync or VSync. It's actually G-Sync compatible, should be added, which by the way works fantastic. Again, we're going to talk more about this in a second, and yeah, all of this for $379, which is a very interesting price point. Now, after been testing the monitor for a while, here's my pros and cons, and let's start with the good stuff. Number one, this monitor is huge. It got 1800R curve, which combined gives you an incredibly immersed experience. Colors and black levels are top notch here. Not sure how to put it, guys. This monitor blew me away completely. G-Sync is nice and it works like a charm on this monitor. QHD and 1440p feels on point for this particular size, and actually I didn't think I was going to say this. $379 is fantastic price and performance. Now 144Hz is a must for competitive shooters such as Fortnite and CSGO, and once you've tried 144Hz, there is no way you want to go back. It's actually that good, guys. Also, we got VESA mounting on the back here, so you can mount it on a wall or on an army if you want to. There's a few things that is not so great. So there is no HDR on this monitor, but generally at this price point you're typically only getting HDR 400, which is pretty worthless anyway. And also, colors out of the box is a bit yellowish, but most of this can be fixed with your naked eye. Few minutes of tweaking, I got things looking pretty nicely. And probably the biggest bummer here, the limitations with the stand. There is not a whole lot you can do here, frankly. There is just tilting, which is of course a bit unfortunate. Now, before we start jumping into CSGO and Fortnite, let's start by touching on the unboxing process. This was a pretty interesting experience. Now let's look at the installation. Putting the monitor together is pretty easy, actually. You got 3 pieces in total: the foot, the leg, and the panel itself, and it only took me like 3 or 4 minutes or so from opening up the box before I was ready to actually game on it, which is pretty nuts actually. And with the assemble done, it's time to play some games on it. And since this is 32 inches and my older monitor is only 24, I figured it would be quite interesting to see if I'm able to play better now that we got a lot more screen space. So this is pretty much 24-inch versus 32. Let's fire up some CSGO and give it a go. Alright, yo, let's do this. Okay, so I'm gonna first and foremost focus on the 24-inch, and now we're gonna slide over to the 32. Last shot. Oh no, feels like we're trading kills right now, guys. Let's go. I wonder how the shotgun performs on a distance. Oops. Well, I guess it's not that great. Yes. Oh, I didn't get the kill. Gonna switch over. First and foremost, wow. Just wow. The screen is huge. Wow. Okay. This is nice. This is actually very nice. It almost feels like I'm sitting too close. Almost as if I have to, you know, turn my head a bit. Because the monitor is so big, you know, I definitely do think that curved monitors make sense for gaming, and it definitely improves the experience overall. Definitely, for sure. I'm trying to wrap my head around this. It's such a big difference here, you know, in terms of screen, real estate, is that how you say? I need to change weapons. I hate the P90 actually. Okay, I don't hate it, but there's definitely better weapons out there, in my opinion at least. I wonder if we can sneak up behind this guy. No, seen us already. He's lagging quite a lot. But if I get to choose between, you know, curved and flat monitor, I definitely choose... Damn it! What was I saying? Yes, I definitely prefer curved over flat monitors. That's numero uno. Secondly, yes, 32 inches is a lot, but I like it. I like it. With that said, let's see if we can get him. Come on. Fuck. Okay, let's switch over. Oh, that is one hell of a big monitor. Oh, we got someone here. 24 inches has always felt kind of perfect for me, but after trying 32, I am legit blown away. That said, you definitely want to place it a few inches further away from you, otherwise everything is going to feel right up in your face, so to speak. Out of the box, colors and contrast look pretty decent, but you might want to fine tune it a bit. Now, as soon as I plugged in the display port, everything was pretty much already set and done, and I didn't have to mess with anything really. Like resolution, refresh rate, or activating G-Sync, everything was already selected. Now we're going to touch on G-Sync a bit more in a second. Now as for the stand, there is not a whole lot you can do with it. There's no pivoting, nor height adjustment. All that you got is tilting, so we got about 4 degrees forward and about 21.5 degrees backward, which is nice of course, but not having height adjustment is something I guess you have to get used to, unless you opt for a better mount of course. As for the stand itself though, it's very robust and I couldn't find any tremble here, or darr as we would call it in Sweden. The OSD or the menu system is fairly complex and offers lots of customizations and different profiles. You reach it by using the buttons underneath, and it definitely takes a bit of time getting used to it. Quite frankly, a joystick would have been better, but it works, don't get me wrong, it just takes a bit more time to get the hang of this system, I guess. In terms of I/O and connections, we find a single display port as well as one HDMI 1.4 and another HDMI 2.0, and so there is no DVI on this monitor, which is worth having in mind. Both DisplayPort and HDMI cables are included, so this monitor is using a VA panel. What is it really, and what can you expect from it in terms of colors and viewing angles, etc.? This is, generally speaking, what you can expect from VA. First and foremost, VA stands for vertical alignment, and these are particularly good when it comes to contrast and black levels. Disadvantage, however, is lack of viewing angle, and this can be a bit problematic as black levels and contrast often gets worse as you're starting to drift away from the monitor, so to speak, and typically at a 30-degree angle, color levels and contrast could look a lot less exciting. And so with the general basics in mind, how does this panel hold up? Well, I'm happy to say guys, pretty damn good actually. Irritating phenomena such as clouding, edge bleed, or any form of screen problems is almost non-existent on his monitor. Here is a picture I took yesterday when the room was completely all dark. With the screen completely black, I was able to spot a bit of clouding and a tiny bit of edge bleed. It is very subtle and I had to tweak the camera settings quite a lot to actually be able to spot it. And to give you guys some comparisons here, here's a shot with the same settings taken on the wildly popular Asus VG248QE, and it should be said this is a TM panel, and so as you can see there is a bit of clouding here, but it should be said it's so subtle and you're most likely not even going to notice it. And quite frankly, this is the only time I've seen it since I started using it, and for the most part when you're watching movies or playing games you won't be able to spot this at all. The upside with VA is the black levels of course and the contrast, and this is where this monitor really shines. I'm trying my best here guys, but I'm having a hard time making it justice on video. But let me put it like this, let's say you pull up a completely black screen, it is hard to tell if the monitor is turned on or not. In terms of viewing angles, I took the viewing angle test on logom.nl to give you an idea what to expect here. Here's a side-by-side comparison between the wildly popular VG CG248QE again, and for the most part colors and black levels look phenomenal on the AOC. Even from the sides it is not as good as high-end IPS displays, but it's miles better than the typical TN gaming panel, as you can see. So what about scaling? Since I know a lot of you guys are still sitting on 1080p monitors, what if you buy a 4040p screen but your graphics card maybe isn't powerful enough for 2K? Will you be able to run your games in 1080p on this monitor without getting lots of blur and whatnot? Well, I've tried to replicate this the best way possible. Blur is definitely present in 1080p, and I don't actually recommend playing at 1080p unless your FPS is really struggling, and yeah, that's worth having in mind. Now let's talk about adaptive sync, also referred to VISA FreeSync, AMD Freesync and G-Sync. What does it mean, and is it something you need and should consider? AMD Freesync is based on VISA adaptive sync, which is a part of the DisplayPort standard. This technology works with modern graphics card from AMD and Nvidia's GTX, Pascal and Turing, the GTX 1000 series and the 2000 series. Since the launch of monitors with adaptive synchronization back in 2015, VISA FreeSync has only been available from AMD graphics cards, and G-Sync required a so-called G-Sync module to actually work, and so only a handful of monitors were supporting G-Sync, and those were a lot more expensive. That is however not the case any longer, and Nvidia recently started supporting G-Sync through the existing VISA adaptive sync through DisplayPort. This is a bit complicated guys, but it's important to know that both AMD FreeSync and G-Sync works on this monitor. I've only tested G-Sync, however, should be added. Now to the basic question, should you get G-Sync or AMD FreeSync? Well, the answer is a bit more complicated than that. You have to really think about whether you're playing the types of games that benefits from this technology. Now let me show you what I'm talking about. Let's say you're playing a lot of highly demanding games and your graphics card is struggling to keep the frame rate above 60 FPS. To make it easier, let's say your graphics card is only able to spit out, let's say 59 FPS on a traditional monitor without adaptive sync. You would essentially be left with either leaving VSync off and you would be facing so-called screen tears, or you can also activate VSync, but your frame cap would be limited to 30 FPS, which is not ideal, right? And this is where adaptive syncing could be the answer. And the way it works is that the graphics card is basically telling the monitor to, instead of keeping the refresh rate at 60 Hz, instead it should match the graphics card frame rate at 59 Hz. And as the frame rate goes up and down, so does the refresh rate as well, and as a result there is no screen tear or frame limitations. But here's the catch guys, if you're starting to move close to 200 FPS and above that, adaptive synchronization stops working. Let's say you're mainly focusing on esport games such as CSGO and Fornite, G-Sync and FreeSync doesn't really add anything, and therefore it's kinda pointless as well. And so what it boils down to is what type of games you're playing, which are 3 types of games as well as crisis. Think very demanding games, adaptive synchronizations is going to be awesome for you. But if you on the other hand are more into competitive shooters or esport games, in that case, yeah, you shouldn't care too much about it. Guys, if you wanna take your gaming experience to the next level, I cannot recommend this monitor enough for $379, and you find all the links down below. Now let me know in the comments below, can you feel the difference between 60 Hz and 144? And yeah, that pretty much wraps up this review of this monitor. Guys, let me know in the comments below, is there anything in particular that you want me to take a look at? Is there any other monitor you want me to dive into? Let me know in the comments below. I am going to be back with a brand new video in just a few days time. Thank you so much for watching this video, and until next time, have an awesome day, right? Bye.